Hello, everyone, and welcome to War Whiskey Podcast. My name is Justin Fisher. I'm coming to you live from the War Whiskey Studios. Today, we're talking about transitioning when your career is over. Big topic. We have September rapidly approaching. That's Suicide Awareness Month. And a lot of people have problems transitioning once their military career is over. And I interviewed two people today. One is Jeremy Newman, a guy who's been in almost as long as I have, and he's rapidly approaching his final few years in the military. So he's at that crossroads and uncertainty of what to do next. Then we're also interviewing a young soldier named Colby Siegler. Colby's been on the show before. Colby's one of those who had his career path planned out before he joined the military. So you'll get two different sides of the coin. You'll get a little bit of what I want to do, and what my plan B is coming out. Which, if you're a fan of the show, you've already kind of had an idea of what I plan to do next. It's a very deep topic, and we've gotten better about transitioning. However, we can always be better at transitioning. So, any further wait, I present to you War Whiskey Podcast number 10. I was, but I got problems.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, you take it every day. So we're talking about, speaking of problems, what happens after the military. Now, you and I were just talking. You've got 5 years left.
Yep.
I've got 4 years left.
And I'm 7 years in.
You're 7 years in. But what's unique about you, and is why I brought you on here, is that your career field has nothing to do with you don't intend on staying in the military that long.
No,
I don't think really like a lot of people intend to stay their entire lives in the military.
No, I actually, after that 2009 deployment, I had every intention on getting out.
Right.
And it wasn't because I didn't enjoy the military and being with soldiers. It's because I thought my leadership was that bad.
Right.
Leadership inside the unit. And then I get back, and there's sort of no camaraderie within the organization I was in, and so because of that, I lost like a certain level of like my soldier spirit, and
I think that was a reoccurring theme in that deployment because it's the same because I knew a lot of great soldiers that got out.
Yeah, and honestly, if it wasn't for looking at an AGR full-time Arkansas National Guard job trying to benefit the organization, I would not have stayed in as long as I have, And so, like you said, like we talked before, now that I have stayed in as long as I've got, I hit 20 years December, so total about 20 and a half. I got 5 years left AGR, so till retirement. I think we can stay in as E7s till 26?
Yeah.
The problem I think that people have with, like you said, the dependency of the National Guard is not necessarily a dependency, but becoming independent from the National Guard. Like, I'm having problems thinking about career choices, insurance, potentially second federal retirements, and the military puts you through so many trials, like they've come up with their own programs to help us from dealing with those situations, like massive resilience training and stuff like that. What's the capability? What am I even allowed to do in the civilian world? Like, for example, now, I'm dealing. This is kind of off base, but I'm dealing with situations with people coming in and doing maintenance on my house, and it's kind of like a little off topic, but like my dishwasher, my heater, and like my my oven and my hot water heater, right? Mm-hmm. So I got these civilians that they come to my house, they don't have the part, they're there to assess it, and now it's been like 3 weeks down the road, and they're still not there fixing like a 5-minute job that should have been done already, and then the plumber that's supposed to replace the hot water heater, we're going on the 3rd week now, and I called him today to have to remind him to do his job, and so I think there are a lot of transitions that soldiers have to deal with when they come in now. It's like retirement, and then accepting the fact that a lot of the civilian population does not work at the same tempo that we do, especially with recovering from deployment, training for deployment, deploying, repeating.
Right.
And so they don't have that same high tempo mentality that we have. So there's a few transitions that I'm struggling with myself because I don't want to get a suit job because I've
Right.
been wearing a suit.
Right.
It's not exactly the same suit because I'm a soldier, but I don't want to get a 9 to 5 because I already work a 9 to 5. I don't want to do all that same stuff over again for someone else, So, I've thought I could code, do it from home, but I'm not smart enough to do that. At least I don't think anyway, And so, like you said, investing. So something I've started to put into my wheelhouse is, entrepreneurship and investing, whether that's real estate, ETFs, bonds, mutual funds, so on and so forth, or looking at starting my own businesses because although I may not be able to adapt working for someone else in the civilian world, I can adapt that tempo into my own business and have pleasing, happy customers. So it's just finding that niche, as opposed to getting a check on the 1st, getting a check on the 15th, and having free insurance to support my family. Not free, but low cost.
Yeah.
So
Now,
that's where I'm at.
Colby, you're different because you and I have talked. You almost got out,
Yeah.
and then you came over with me.
Yep.
You're really just waiting for a federal job.
Right.
You're a rarity as a young soldier and as a young NCO that you have your life figured out pretty much already, almost scripted to a point.
Right.
And
right.
what's your mindset, as in, how does it feel knowing that the Guard, I'm not saying it's a hindrance, but it's not a priority. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the Guard, it provides a lot for me.
Right.
And I originally got into the Guard. I never thought about the Guard. I never thought about the military whatsoever. But I knew that my goal was federal law enforcement.
Right.
So I knew I was at point A and I wanted to get to point B.
Okay.
Well, I knew military experience was a big thing that could help me to get to B. So I thought at the beginning, let me do a 6-year stint. I'll get my college paid for. I'll get my degree. And then I'll get in with federal law enforcement, and that's the plan all along, and I'm getting steadily closer with that. But in a way, the Guard's using me, and I'm using the Guard.
Okay.
And it's working out very well. It's a good relationship because I've used the Guard, and I got into the counter-drug program, which helps build experience. I have a deployment. I have been overseas. That helps as well. So, we kind of use each other along the way, and I got my college paid for. I can't complain about any of that, and
Right.
I'm making decent money right
Yeah.
now. And because the application process sometimes it can take years, so it's not anything you can just snap your fingers and you rush into.
Yeah.
So I have had a scripted plan. There's always bumps in the road, but the Guard's always been there for me, and I try to always be there for the Guard.
Yeah, and kind of to jump on that, and I had mentioned this to someone the other day who's in the military. They're E9 in the military in the Arkansas Guard now. Is, you've been a readiness NCO, I've been a readiness NCO, and pretty much you're the pulse of the unit as a readiness NCO or full-time staff, and so far, I moved to this logistics job, and I'm
Right.
looking at going warrant officer, and I think it's great. It'll be great for a career. I hope I'm afforded that opportunity to again better fit the organization, hopefully for them. But I do not have that satisfaction like I did when I was a readiness NCO, supporting soldiers like Colby, Siegler, and other soldiers that need those pay and bonuses and
Right.
college and everything that I've looked at up to this point as far as civilian world goes will not give me that satisfaction. So I have this mindset that I'm there to support my family, but for years I've been taking care of incoming soldiers, outgoing soldiers. I had a retiree come into the office the other day that couldn't get their W-2s from being retired, and then when their last couple checks when they were Guard, and that was the most satisfying thing I was able to do all week. And I think that it'll be hard to find that. Plus, looking at taking too much time and waiting last minute to plan for the civilian world as well, financially, mentally, physically, because it's a big change. It's a large change hanging up that uniform. So, but that I think I'll have a hard time finding that sort of satisfaction that you're talking about, helping those soldiers like you.
And you were talking about a hard time to change. I mean, I've only been in 7 years, and you start to you're on this road, you're on the military road, and I'm even kind of getting used to that road, and I feel myself getting that way, where I'm like, man, I like putting on the uniform, I'm comfortable doing this, but at the end of the day, you always have to have that exit plan to get over to the civilian half, and I try to make sure all the time that I have it. But I'm like I said, I'm in 7 years, and I can only imagine what you feel like, already doing 20. So
I think a lot of times, military, not just Guard members, but military members, they trade that vision for comfort.
Yeah.
Because like with you had a vision going in, and being M-Day is a little easier because you kind of have a life. It's like, so a lot of people are like, I just got to get AGR. You and I both know. Just got to get AGR. Yeah. And how I got AGR was, I actually had I was actually called to the schoolhouse as ADOS. I actually had no intentions of staying. I was actually going to try to go to selections. Really what I was going to try to do. And to come to the schoolhouse, I did that. Then I got AGR by convenience. And I never intended to be this far. And you can get comfortable with the good insurance. It's good. It's nice. It's a good safety. Yeah. First and the 15th. Yeah. You get paid good. Considering with the surrounding areas. And you're deploying and stuff, and being you get perks. I think you lose sight of what you want to be. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with if you stay in the military till you're 50 or 60, then you end up working at the back gate or something. There's nothing if that's what your road to happiness is. But I always tell people, they ask me about it. Like my degree, I have a bachelor in arts and communications. Because I wanted to do that. Yeah. I actually wanted to go to film school, but I couldn't because I was a full-time soldier. So I tell people, just what do you want to do? So remember, you and I had just had this conversation.
Right.
He was like, I want to be, go try an AGR job, but I'm afraid it might mess with the FBI. And I said, what do you want to do right now, top of your head? And he said, FBI. I said, do FBI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell people, what do you want to do? There's nothing that's going to stop. People find out that I have a podcast, I'm a published writer and things. It's kind of like, well, you do? Like, yeah, stupid, I do. It's nothing wrong with doing what you want to do. You don't have to fall into I want to go to American Military University and get me a degree in military science. Yeah. You don't have to do that. And I think as a organization, we lose sight of, like, that vision. I think soldiers have to have that vision. Kind of like the Schwarzenegger 5 rules of success. You got to have a vision.
Yeah.
And you got to keep that in mind that you're only as good as long as the military needs you.
Yeah.
And that moment where you get hurt, because what you see people our age with serious injuries, and they're not all of them are like this, but they become crippled or hurt, and they're all like, I can't get around. I'm like, dude, you're 43 and you can hardly move. You know what I mean? And it's no fault to them. It's just you gave everything to the military, and now in my eyes, I'm like this. I have 4 years left for active retirement. I've been in 21 years. If the right job offer came tomorrow, I'm out.
Right.
And that's how I am. Because to me, this is hampering I can't live my life yet.
Yeah.
Right.
This is just a phase.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to take away from the service because
Right.
Like,
yeah, and there is a lot of honor in serving your country, and I totally get that.
Yeah, I don't want to take this service aspect away because, like, me and my wife, I kind of bleed my heart out to my wife a lot. So I got a brother that's really successful, you know, and then I got a brother-in-law that's really successful. You know, those two guys are kind of like, you know, both from my older, so, and one of them definitely is my older brother, but the brother-in-law is like my older brother. You know, and so I try and take everything that they have done as a lesson and listen to them, and you know, and then I gotta, but I also have to sit back and say, man, but you didn't serve,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like when you serve, you're taking away, like you said, you're taking away, you're kind of sidestepping those thoughts and dreams. Now, some people, they dream to serve, you know.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. I am thankful to serve.
Yes.
You know, but then when I get a little envious of, those two people, I have to sit back and I have to say, when it's time to retire, I will be them. I will be them plus more. But I can't be done serving just yet, because I want to be able to say, I retired at 20 years. I served 20 years in the military. They allowed me to serve, and I am proud to have served.
Right.
And so, I'm with you as far as like that dreams thing. You know what I mean? I've got it's like once the chapter is closed, it's time to move on. But as far as like struggling to adapt after the Army, after the militaries, it's so many people with post-traumatic stress, or they alcoholism, or they have the dream to get out and smoke weed every night, and they got this so they get out sometimes and can't adapt because of their service too. So like 25 years, 26 years, 30 years, and you've seen it, I've seen it, they get out and they can't move on, or they get out, and they still some way they've lost that pride, so they're still trying to find it, and they can't cope and can't adapt. And so I don't know, I didn't have anything else to say other than that.
Right.
But it's tough. It's a hard
if
deal.
you could give advice to soldiers these days, all right, so we're going to wrap this up soon.
Okay.
What's one piece of advice you give them? Colby Siegler, as a soldier who came into the military with a vision, what's a piece of advice you can give people?
So when you come into the military, you have a vision. Everybody does. Whether that vision is serving in the military for 20 years or serving in the military and doing something that you want to do. Don't let serving in the military give you tunnel vision on just the military. I think that's something that happens. You come in with a big dream. You've been in the military for a while. Don't let it give you tunnel vision on just that.
Right.
Keep the eyes on the dream.
Right.
So that's what I would give them.
What's your piece of advice, Jeremy?
So obviously Colby Siegler's is from a younger man's point of view, but mine, and I'm still pretty young and stronger and faster. I don't know about better looking, but when you get an ass whooping, you don't look as good. But
Well, we can test that theory.
Remember the last time you did that? You tried to fight someone bigger than you? I do. We can talk about that.
I lost one fight out of how many?
The one time you fought someone bigger than you.
I could take him.
what happened to Chuck Liddell when he started getting knocked out? Kept getting knocked out. Yeah.
I lost one.
All right, back on topic.
Yeah.
So if I had advice to give, and this is only because of, gentlemen at an older age, and I'm talking, me and Justin Fitch are fortunate enough to be as young as we are, to be able to retire as young as we are, and still be able to move on. But, being older, you definitely have to have a plan, so that those simple stressors like getting your bills paid, making sure you have insurance, making sure that you're drawing a good enough paycheck to subsidize the income that you're going to miss from the military, so your BAH, BAQ, because you're only getting 50% of that base pay. So make a plan. Right now my plan is looking at real estate, gun dealing business, stock EFTs, whether that, bonds, mutuals, gold, whatever, is to have a plan. And you can't start 5 years out. So I've been doing this for like 8 years out. I've been starting this plan for like 8 years out. And that would be my advice. And don't stop. Don't be good enough with just E7 or E8, because you're writing your own legacy in the military, whether it is in your own mind, whether it's just whether you're E8 selection, black hat down in Benning, Georgia, or you're going to be a PBO officer for the TDAs in Arkansas that get no respect. But, so have a plan, start 8 years out, start executing it maybe 5 years out, and once you hit the 20 and your plan is to be done with the military, don't deviate from that plan, so that when you're done, you just easily transition into retired life. And that's it.
I like it. I would say my advice is this: do what you want to do. Don't sell yourself short. And if you do it right, by the time you get ready to retire, the military will be the thing that's holding you back.
Yeah.
So that concludes today's War Whiskey podcast. I'm Justin Fisher.
And I'm Colby Siegler.
Oh my gosh. Signing off.